Hi, Girl Scouts. Happy Monday. Normally we'd be celebrating our spring break right now, but I think everybody's had a little bit of break from school lately. So Girl Scouts of Central California South Girl Experience Team are bringing you a virtual spring day camp. We're going to focus on some of our pillars. Our 4 pillars are STEM, life skills, entrepreneurship, and outdoors. Today, our theme is travel. So let's go on a little adventure together. How do Girl Scouts travel? Well, with a little bit of planning and a whole lot of fun. So get your passports ready and let's go. We like to start every Girl Scout adventure with the Girl Scout Promise and Law. And my screen's just a bit touchy. Oops. The Girl Scout Promise. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout Law. The Girl Scout Law. I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, and make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. So my name is Miss Candace. I'm the Girl Experience Manager for Girl Scouts of Central California South. And today, I'm going to cover some STEM. So as soon as I can get my computer to stop being so sensitive. All right. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you're getting a little motion sick from this. All right. So we're actually going to talk about something that's happening right now. So I have an airplane going over my house. I'm in a flight path. I don't know about you girls, but airplanes are sort of an amazing accomplishment. Humans have developed engineering to make it able for us to fly to many places around the world. Let me just see. Raise your hand right now. Have you ever flown in an airplane? Okay, keep those hands up. Have you ever been in a hot air balloon? Oh, me either. That's too scary. So let's talk about how airplanes work. So when I'm in an airplane, my first thought is, man, I hope this thing works. So I like to know how things work. I like to know what makes them go, what makes them not go, and that sort of thing. So airplanes have a very simple idea behind them. There's 4 forces. Now that's part of science. That's physics, actually. So there's 4 parts that are making airplanes go up, down, back, and forth. So the up, if you see my screen, is your lift. Lift is the pushing that goes up. So if you're thinking about having a balloon in your hand and you push it up, that is lift. It's the force that's opposite of weight. So if lift is what makes things go up, then weight is what makes things go down. So we think about weight in terms of gravity. We've all heard about gravity, right? What goes up must come down. Well, gravity pulls objects down. So lift makes the airplane go up. Weight makes the airplane go down. And something to think about is, however heavy your airplane must be, that's how much harder your lift must work to go against the weight. So how does an airplane go forward? Now, there's no like backup, like a reverse on an airplane, like on a car. We have a thrust. That's what makes the airplane go forward. And we have a drag. So thrust is the power behind an airplane. So it's pushing the airplane forward. And usually when we think about how things go forward, we're thinking about a big engine. So if you're in a regular commercial airplane, it's usually a jet engine. So that's the thrust, that's forward. Now drag. Drag is what is the opposite of thrust. It slows something down. So if you throw a can of, I don't know, peas through the air, it's not going to fly very easily, right? It's not very aerodynamic. It has no real balance to it. And the lift, the thrust, the weight, and the drag are all off. But I have something that might help us think about this concept in a more tactical way. So let me stop sharing my screen and start this video. Ah, you see my passport? I have that right there. That's for travel. And my little globe. But what I'm really going to use today is my airplane. So we have a balsa wood airplane that we're going to fly with. So one more time, the lift is what makes the airplane go up, just like that. The weight is what weighs your airplane down, okay? So in this case, this airplane's very light, very light. It's going to fly really easily. But what else is on this? So we obviously don't have jet engines. We wouldn't want to put jet engines on something light like this. We want to have our thrust be human powered. So I am the thrust. What else do we have here? We have the drag. So if you look at your airplanes that you are going to build later, there's going to be a texture to them. So this has a very smooth texture to it, but there is a little bit of texture. So the more texture it has, the more surface area there is for the air to work against it, basically. So we have lift, weight, thrust, and the drag is the surface area that has texture on this. So let's see how this works. I don't know if you could see that, but it flew away. So you may not have a balsa wood airplane at your home. That's okay. We have instructions on how to build a paper airplane for ourselves. Now, I am not the greatest when it comes to doing origami and that sort of thing, but even I can do this. So let's get started. As soon as I can share my screen. One moment, girls. All right, hopefully this works again. Ta-da. All right. Okay, so this is a great project because it uses things that are around your house. So for me, I just use some scratch paper. But if you have any like colored or printed paper that you want to use, definitely try this out with some scratch paper first, and then you can do it with a really pretty piece of paper. So this is called the Harrier. It's a medium level paper airplane, but once again, if I can do it, you can do it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fold your paper in half. So this is lengthwise. When I was a teacher, we used to teach hamburger or hot dog style. So if that's the way your teacher teaches, this is hot dog style. So you're going to fold that paper nice and crisply in half. See where that blue line is? And then we're going to move on to folding our top corners into the center. Now, it should look like a nice pointy triangle at the top. So those top arrows, you see this guy right here? He's going to fold into that dot, and he's going to fold into that dot right there. Make sure you crease them really well. A good paper airplane has very strong creases. Now we have our triangle. We're going to fold about halfway down. Yeah, it's really about a third of the way down. You're going to take that tip and you're going to meet this little dot right there. Now here's a helpful hint. What Miss Candace did was she put her finger at the bottom of the paper, right here where this dot is, and just kind of use my first knuckle to my nail. All right, so we're going to fold that paper down. Sorry, guys. I just went on super zoom. All right, there we go. All right, so we have gone from a, whoops, kind of a house type shape to an envelope. So you see this envelope? It looks just like one that you would get in the mail or in a birthday card. So we're going to take these corners and move them to this dot and fold this corner to this dot. So you're going to go from triangle to triangle. All right, so once you have those triangles set in place, you should have a little tail. This little guy, he's sticking out, just waiting to be of service. So he is going to get folded up from this dot to that dot. Remember to make your creases really, really strong. Oops, sorry. All right, so now we have two triangles. We have our big triangle and we have our little triangle. Home stretch. We want to make sure that those folds and flaps are very crisp and that the folds and flaps are on the outside of your plane. Oops. Now we're going to turn the plane over. So those two triangles should be on the bottom facing your table. Now we're going to take these two ends, the sides right there, I should say, and we're going to fold them in. You'll see on the next slide how far to fold them in. We're going to make a sharp, sharp, sharp angle up against the wing here. And the best way to measure is to go right up to the seam, right up to that first fold in half that we made. And you'll do it twice. And what you end up with is this. Oh, you know what I just realized? I have to stop sharing my screen. Ta-da, there we go. You should end up with this. So if we're looking at my airplane, you see my triangle here? The two triangles are on the back. So we have our triangle here, here, and our little triangles right here. And then I folded my wings in. Oops, one-handed, y'all. And folded it in here. And that gives us the Harrier. All right, so now here's the challenge. Can you build a paper airplane that flies, uses all four of the forces that we talked about, remember? Lift, weight, thrust, and drag. Now, this paper is very smooth, not much drag, right? All right, so let's see how we can do. Can we get them through the cones? Well, kind of. I don't think anybody survived that flight, but we'll try better next time. So, all right, girls, have a great time making paper airplanes, and I'm going to hand it over to Miss Mary, who's going to talk about some things that are going to help you travel as well.
Thank you, Candace. I'm Miss Mary, and today for our travel day, I'm going to show you how to get from point A to point B and even to point C. So our founder, Juliette Gordon-Low, really likes travel. In fact, here is a picture of her actual passport from 100 years ago, and it cost a whole $1 to get that passport processed. And that's her real picture and her real signature right there. So Girl Scouts today have many opportunities to travel with their troops on excursions and also to individually join Girl Scout destinations in other states and even in other countries. Later today, go onto the Girl Scouts National website at girlscouts.org and click on the Girls button at the top and then on the Travel button on the left to see some of the really great options. Of course, no one is traveling right now. And I messed it up. I forgot to show the screen. I thought I was showing my screen. Can I try one more time, Candace?
We can see your screen.
You can see the screen for the, okay, so I can't see what you're seeing then.
Are you trying to show us the destinations?
Yeah. So if you go to the left and press the button on the left, then you could check out some really great options, the travel button. And as I said, of course, no one is traveling right now. But did you know that you need to apply for some of these trips up to 6 months to a year in advance? So now is the perfect time to start your research. In the resources tab on that page, they have some really great planners and toolkits you can download to make your research easier. And they even have this travel log in the international resources tab, but it can work for any trip. So I suggest you go there when you're done today and print out your own travel log or make your own travel log out of a notebook and start researching the trips that you want to go to. Are we back to me? Hi. So when you're traveling, how do you know where to go? You can't always rely on your phones to get you where you're going because some places don't have cell phone service. And if you're using a phone app like a GPS, make sure that that phone works offline. A global positioning system is a device that can tell you where on the globe you are down to the exact spot where you're landing. And if I use the app on my phone, I can't use it right now because I'm looking at my phone right now. But if you look at the app on your phone, it will tell you where you are laterally and where you are longitudinally. Now, to remember where that's at, the thing I do is I think of the globe as a funny little cartoon person, and lat means fat. So you look at the globe and you're going to think laterally is where am I at along his belt line? Let's see how fat the earth is. And longitudinally is how long he is. So you're going to think longitudinally is how up and down I am on the globe. So that's my quick little tip on remembering how to tell latitude and longitude. But how do you find out where you are and where you're going if you don't have any electronics? So there's some old-fashioned tricks that girls and grown-ups have used for ages that I'm going to teach you about today. So one of the things that you need to look at, and I'm going to move over here to the window. I brought something here to show you. And let me open up the screens here so we can get some sunshine. And let's turn around my screen. There it is. So you see the sunshine is shining on this. You can stick a stick in the ground. You can stick a pencil in the ground. I borrowed my paper towel holder from home. And you can see that the sun is putting the shadows this way. Now, you know, the sun is over here in the east in the morning, and it goes over here to the west at night. So as the sun goes in this direction, your shadows are going to move in this direction. So if you don't know where you are, and you don't know which way is north, south, east, and west, just put a stick or something in the ground and sit there and watch it. And what you can do is you can take a pebble and put it at the end of that shadow. And then when you sit and watch, maybe half an hour later, you'll see that that pebble and that shadow is over here. So you know that that pebble moved this way, so that way is east. And you know that that way is west. So once you can tell the difference between east and west, then you can figure out where north and south is. So when you are looking at directions, everybody in school, hopefully at some point, learned this phrase: never eat soggy waffles. So never eat soggy waffles is an easy way to remember north, south, east, and west. But it goes never eat soggy waffles. Or if you're facing that direction, once you figure out where north is, you can say never eat on your right hand, soggy on your behind you, left is waffles. Never eat soggy waffles. So that's another quick tip on how to tell where you are, because you have to know where you are to know where you're going. Now, what if it's dark outside? If it's dark outside, how are you going to tell which way is north, south, east, and west? Well, there is a way that sailors have been telling north, south, east, and west for hundreds of years, and that would be by the stars. Now, if you live in the northern hemisphere where we are, there's something called the North Star, or Polaris. I'm not sure if you can see these pictures very well. This was the brightest picture I could get to show you what it would look like right above your house. But there's the Big Dippers right here. Here's the handle. Here's the cup right there. And these two stars on the cup of the Big Dipper are going to point you right up here to the North Star. And you know you've found the right North Star if you follow the handle and you see the little dipper right there. But this is the North Star. So if you can find the North Star, you'll know that's north. But what if you're in Australia? They actually have another constellation down there that shows you where you can find the South Pole. This is called the Southern Cross. And this is, I apologize, I forget the name of that little constellation, but there's a little constellation with two bright stars right above the Southern Cross. So if you draw a line between those two and you follow it straight, and you draw a line between these two and you follow that straight, right where those intersect are pretty much south. So as long as you could tell north and south at night, then you'll know where you're going. One more way that you can show where you're going is if you, I'm going to bring you back to the sun again. So say you're out traveling and you have on an old-fashioned wristwatch. Now this is not going to work with a digital wristwatch because you need the hands, those hour hands that are on the old-fashioned watches. So I've drawn a picture of our old-fashioned watch today. And you see I'm going to line up the sun. We're going to pretend it's 4 o'clock. And so that shadow, the small hand, the hour hand, we're going to point that hand right at the sun. And then right where 12 is, you're going to go halfway in between both of those places. And that line will be exactly the north and south line. So I wrote this wrong because that's supposed to be south. This is supposed to be north over here. So that will give you a good idea of how to find north and south if you just have an old-fashioned wristwatch around. Okay, so pardon me. Now, once you know north, south, east, and west, what are you going to do with that? Well, you will want to know how to read a map. So, can we stop recording? All right, so once you know how to find north, south, east, and west, you could pretty much get anywhere. So I'm going to turn it over to Miss Natasha for the next section of our travel day.
Thank you, Miss Mary. Hi, girls. So my name is Miss Natasha, and today we're going to be talking about outdoor stuff. And I know right now it's really hard for us to actually go outside because of the situation we're in. But even if you go into your backyard, or because I live in an apartment, I have a little patio area where I can go. So we're going to talk about traveling, as Miss Candace and Miss Mary have talked about previously. We're going to discuss an actual game that they play in Greece, and I'm going to explain the rules, and you guys will get to play it later on today. So, Greek children have access to some amazing marble statues that date back to ancient times. We even have some pretty great marble statues here in the US. Can you think of any? With the help of your parents, I want you to go research some of the Greek marble statues and some of our very own. Did you know that Greek children play this game called Alagamante? I do not know if that's the correct way to say it, so we can Google on how to correctly say it. Greek children use statues as part of their game. So it loosely translates to statues. And this relates to us because actually our Girl Scouts of Central California South in their travel group is planning to go to Greece. They are a group that plans, like Miss Mary says, plans annual trips to allow Girl Scouts and adults the opportunity to travel around the world. How cool is that? You guys get to go to different locations, different countries, meet up with possible other Girl Scout sisters and talk about the differences that they have. And hopefully maybe that the people who are going to go to Greece this year, or maybe they can see this game being played or actually participate with the Greek children and play the game. So I'm actually going to show you some of one of our marble statues that comes to my mind. So give me a minute as I flip it around. So as you can see, Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln Memorial, marble statue. So that's one of the great ones that I can think of. And then of course, when you go to search more, there's gonna be a bunch of other ones that'll pop up as well. Okay, so that's ours. And then if we move over to the Greece one, oops. Oh no. You will see many images of their great Greece statues. So they have all kinds of different ones. Now, the reason why you want to research these is because in the game, when the players are running around, it's kind of like a sense of freeze tag, but you don't actually get tagged. The player's job is to represent a statue. So they need to mimic, which means copy, what the statue looks like. So let's go back to Abraham Lincoln. So if I wanted to mimic Abe Lincoln, I would be pretending that I'm sitting in a chair. And my job would be actually to stay like that as long as possible. If I move, then I'm out. The person who is his job is to actually get us to move. So we'll go back to our rules and I'll explain them clearly, okay? So I'm gonna read my rules off to you. So this is what you guys are gonna do at home. You can play with your family, your little brother, your little sister. You don't necessarily have to play it outdoors. It's just better for the bigger space so you guys can run around more, but you can even play this in your house, in your living room. Definitely clear out some tables so that way you're not tripping over anything. You will need at least 4 players. Ask your parents to play the game with you. This game is perfect for ages 4 and up, so playing with your little siblings will be great. So, step 1, you need to choose the player to be it and have him or her stand, eyes covered, in the center of the room or the backyard. Have it start counting at least to 10, but it can go higher. So meaning I can count up to 20 if I wanted to. The point is that there's not a set ending number, meaning only it, so only me, I know when I'm going to stop counting and when I'm going to start going to look at the other players. You will know when it is ready to play the game when he or she opens up their eyes and starts to wander around at the other players. While it is counting, so while I'm counting and covering my eyes, the other players, so Miss Mary, Miss Candace, and Miss Karina, are going to go around in the rooms and mimic some statues that they found. So remember, Abe Lincoln, some of the other Greek statues that they have. So they're going to go around and pose that way. So the next part that it is going to do is when she or he is ready. So whenever I'm ready to go, I'm going to yell statues. And as soon as I say statues, it is Miss Karina and Miss Candace and Miss Mary's job to stand still as one of their famous statues that they researched. You need the players, like I said, Miss Mary, Miss Candace, and Miss Karina, they need to freeze taking on those poses of those statues. This is why I recommend that you look at the pose to figure out. So like if Miss Candace wanted to represent a Lincoln, she would be sitting down pretending to sit down in a chair. So she's got to hold that position for as long as she can. That's going to be difficult because she's got to be sitting, and she's not sitting on a real chair. She's pretending. So she's got to pretend to squat all the way down, and that's going to get tiresome. So I know she's going to move eventually. And when she moves, I'm going to be able to say, "You're out." So then she'll go off to the side, and then I will go to the next player. If you can't think of any statues or you want to mimic items that you find in your home or in the backyard, such as a ball, sticks, or chairs, you can do that as well. But we recommend that because we're traveling today, you guys play off of finding the statues in Greece or even in the US. So once the player moves, I will tag, or the it will tag. So if I see Miss Candace moving, then I tag her and she's out. With Miss Mary and Miss Karina, they're the ones left over and they're standing perfectly still. It's my job as being it to make them move. So I need to make silly faces. I need to make them laugh. I need to get them to move so that way they can get out. So I can tell jokes. I can make the silly faces, whatever it takes to get the player out. The last remaining player composed, meaning still in their statue movement, is the winner and becomes the new it. So let's say we've gone through and Miss Karina is the winner. She will go ahead and become the new it, and we'll repeat the whole process over again. So girls, I really want you guys to play this game because, like I said, you can play it with your family and it'll be an interesting time and you can play it indoors. So I'm going to hand it off to Miss Karina, who's going to talk about entrepreneurship/leadership. Thank you for joining.
Hey, so hi girls, Miss Karina, and welcome to Travel Leadership. It's me and Coco wishing we were in Mexico eating tacos. So, my topic is there's some leadership skills that you can actually learn by traveling. So one of the skills is you can actually learn this by being curious about the new setting. So an example would be going to the places that people eat, where they have fun, and try to live life like they do, even if it's just a short time. The next one would be being a risk taker. Try something you wouldn't do normally. The third, adapt. Adapting to the new place, the new rules. Basically learning to embrace the new setting still. Problem solving is also a way you can learn these leadership skills. You can look at the resources that can help you solve problems when you need to ask for help. And the fifth one, you can embrace the cultural differences. Broaden your horizons to the cultural differences. Don't be afraid of the differences. It could be new food, games, etc. So my example was Mexico. So the first one I would learn would be going to their shopping centers, local parks, etc. So I use the example of my dad's hometown, which I've only been there once, and I think I was 4, so I really don't remember. I researched it, and one of the main attractions there in Michoacan is the main plaza and the parroquia de Señor de la Piedad, which is this right here. So you can actually see the church, which is the parroquia, and then that's the plaza. So that's the main attraction there on his hometown. The second one would be I would try to learn a sport that they play over there, and I would try food that they're famous for. So over there in that town, they're famous for cajeta de leche de cabra, which is goat milk cajeta. And it's just a real sweet thing that they use, kind of like a caramel. And I would probably have to research more to adapt to the new rules there, because I wouldn't know what the rules are without actually being there. So on the fourth one for problem solving, I would have to find out how to get around. Do they have buses, travel guides, etc.? And the fifth, to learn the differences, would be to embrace the differences. But I'm pretty sure I wouldn't complain because of all the yummy food I kept seeing on researching. So I added a little recipe in there just because travel leadership was a little bland. So you can try to make this at home. I already pre-made it. And this is actually arroz con leche, which is rice pudding. So it's really easy and simple. It's just 2 cups of water, 1 can of evaporated milk, and 1 cone of sugar, which is also known as piloncillo. You put it all together on low heat. You boil all the ingredients in a small saucepan. You keep stirring until the sugar cone is dissolved, and then you add the 1 cup of rice. You let that all boil until the rice is soft, and stir once in a while, and then when it's done, you enjoy it. So what I want you girls to do is I want you girls to research a place you would want to travel to, and with the steps we just covered, go through them and see what you can learn from those places, and even see if there are some easy recipes from those places so that you can make at home. So this is a way that you can do some safe traveling to keep safe. And with that, we'll see you tomorrow on our next day for spring break. And I'm going to hand it over to Candace now.
All right, girls. Well, I hope you're ready for some fun travels once we're able to go somewhere. There are lots of virtual field trips you can take right now, so ask your parents if it's okay if you start exploring those. Our national parks are offering them, there are museums offering them, and there's lots of really great things to learn about travel, even if you're not traveling yet. So don't forget, get your passport, get ready for your air flight travel. And I'm going to share my screen so we can close with our favorite song in Girl Scouts.
What is silver and the other gold. A circle is round, it has no end. That's how long I want to be your friend.